we're gonna ready to rock and roll. I had a little trouble getting on reason, but Cheryl bailed me out like she always does. Story of her life. Anyway, thanks for everybody being here. So, roll call, please.
Chairman Gary Delvo.
Yes.
Vice Chair Matt Schuler.
Here.
Hi, Jim.
Alder Dorf. Here. Jim Bloomrick.
Here.
Debbie Dean.
She's
Here.
mute.
Yep. Kathy Hinkfist
Here.
and Melanie Parma.
Sure.
All present.
Excellent. Excellent.
Love your glasses, Melanie.
Must be a Christmas present. Anyway, I'm glad everybody's here. Please.
Move to approve.
Second.
Alder Dorf and Jim, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We got minutes from November 10th. Everybody have a chance to look at them, I hope? Motion by Melanie, second by Jim. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Excellent. Motion carried. Number 1. Consideration with possible action on request by Hyatt Regency to forgive $62,390.40 in monthly payments for KI Convention Center due to COVID shutdowns. Cheryl, you want to start with that, and then I can certainly give an opinion, whatever.
Yep, and I think Christine Hall is actually here as well, if you want to open the floor to hear from Hyatt. So this, of course, is COVID related. The Hyatt pays the Redevelopment Authority annually a fee of about $250,000. That's broken up monthly to $20,796. So the Hyatt approached us, I think, in April and said, look, things are grim. That's when everything was shut down officially by the governor. And, you know, they could not operate any business at all. We advised them at the time, hey, why don't we, you know, being the optimist we are, let's wait. This is an annual fee. Let's wait till the end of the year and see how things go, because maybe things will get better. And unfortunately, they have not gotten better. So the request has come back. Hyatt would like us to forgive the rental payments for 3 months, which is April, May, and June. They've continued then to make payments after that based on the status of business that they've had for this year during COVID. So we've had a number of requests from businesses as the Redevelopment Authority through our revolving loan funds or whatnot. We have not forgiven any debt. We have renegotiated. We've given people the ability to defer or to look at, you know, making up the payments over the next year. So kind of our SOP has been, we just haven't done a straight forgiveness of these, of debt. That money that's paid every month goes into that KICC maintenance fund. We have a little under $2 million in that fund right now. That being said, though, we have probably a $500,000 project on the horizon for lighting and audio equipment in part of the center. So I offered the Hyatt the ability to look at some different options, potentially to maybe look at catching up next year or laying it out in a different way. And at this point, they really felt like the forgiveness would be the best option for them. So, but I guess looking at it as at a staff level, our recommendation is to not forgive that debt at this point. But we would be willing to work with them if they wanted to maybe extend those payments or make it up in a different way.
It's up to the group if you want to open up the meeting.
I move to
Sure,
open
I
the
got it.
floor. Second.
Alder Dorf, a second by Kathy. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. The floor is open. Please. Hi. Tell us, where's the representative?
Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Christine Hall. I'm the general manager at the Convention Center and the Hyatt Regency Green Bay. Along with me here in the room is Tracy Hillesheim. She's our director of sales and events here at the hotel. And I'm sure you've heard many stories of how tough it's been for businesses as we've gone through COVID-19. And certainly it's been no different for our hotel in the convention center. The reason why about asking for the forgiveness of rent truly is because of the governor's stay-at-home order that was placed that closed down the convention center for all intents and purposes and kept us from having through part of March, starting around March 18th and leading up through June 1st. And then as of June 1st, just ramping back up our business with the small number of small meetings that we could have. Certainly during this period of time, we continued to have staff work in the KI in regards to housekeeping and engineering and security services. So even though the KI was closed, we still had an outlay of money during that period of time, and just feel like it should be looked at to waive the rent for that 65 days. Plus the 24 that we were closed and getting ramped back up into business, which would equate to the 3 months that Cheryl mentioned earlier.
How sweet.
I will tell you, so I understand that this meeting is a public meeting.
Yes.
And Cheryl told me that I could ask for the rest of the discussion to be in private, and only because we're a public company and to speak to where we are or what our future looks like, I can't do that in a public forum. Be more than to share it with the council individually.
Yep, I apologize for that, Christine. I do not have closed session language on this agenda for that. I missed putting that on here. So we can't go into closed session. I think if you want to hold this to consider this further, I mean, if it's okay, we could put it on the January agenda. But I apologize. I forgot to put the closed session language on for this item.
Alder Dorf, I see you had your hand up earlier. Please.
I did. I had a little different question. Were there any government grants or CARES funding that the KI Center could have been eligible for?
No, ma'am, unfortunately not. Because we're owned by Hyatt Corporation that's based out of Chicago, none of the grants and state things that are available to us here in the state.
Thank you.
I will tell you that I can't speak forward. I can speak to the past as to what business has been like since the stay-at-home order was lifted back in early June, late May, whenever that was. And moving forward, the majority of our business in the KI has been predominantly two things. Weddings, of course, have been still very popular for people to get married. But I will tell you that not only has that number dropped, we were supposed to do over 40 plus weddings in the KI this year, and probably half of those did not come to fruition. And the ones that did were probably at 50% of their numbers that they typically are. In addition to that, when we kind of figured out all this happening and the NFL schedule came out and we knew there probably wouldn't be fans in stands, we made an aggressive approach to approach the visiting football teams to have them stay with us. So once again, during the weekends that we've had home field games, we've been lucky enough that we have hosted all of the teams except two, one being the Vikings that stayed in Appleton, and the other one being a team that stayed with the Radisson, the Jaguars, instead of staying here. So we've been trying to be as aggressive as possible and getting as much business as we can. We also provided the city a space to be able to do the accounting for the election, and at a very reduced rate. So we've been trying to do everything possible to bring revenues into the door, to keep employees working, to keep employees on staff. We probably have reduced our workforce here by 50% or more, and we'll continue to stay at the levels that we are now, definitely through April, if not through the beginning of June. And speaking forward, that's about as far as I can go with what we look like in the future, unfortunately.
Okay. Other questions, please? So I guess.
Alder Stoyer's hand is raised.
Oh, I'm sorry. Alderman, please.
Thank you, Chair. I was kind of going over this agenda item and, and Cheryl, you might be able to answer this. We were talking that we don't forgive these kind of rental payments because of the only way that it could be done is if there was damage. And I think the KI is saying that there has been damage, even though it's not physical damage. So I'd like a clarification on that. What constitutes damage as far as, I think the contract said something to the effect that if it was physical damage, that it would be one thing, but this is kind of a quieter type of damage. So I just want to know the clarification between those two.
I actually had that reviewed by Attorney Chavez when this first came up in April, that the law department did not believe that that would apply in this case. And I don't know if is damage the right word? But
yeah, well, it's force majeure. Is
yes,
that how you pronounce it?
Correct. That did not apply in this instance. So that was the law determination back in April. I would think that would be the same determination now.
Okay. I kind of figured that there was some clarification that you talked about with law department, but one person's view of damage might be different than someone else's. So I just needed to ask that.
Yep.
That's good. That's it for now. Thank you.
So if I might also interject, when Cheryl and I first started speaking about this, that is one of the reasons I took this forward, is because I feel like the damage, although not physical to the building itself, it has been damage based on force majeure. That is why all of our business has canceled to this point, is because of force majeure. So I think it would extend to this as well.
I actually have one more question, if you don't mind, Chair. How would we make up this money if we decided to relieve this? Would that be on the levy, or how would that be made up? And maybe Director Ellenbecker, we can't do that?
Well, I don't think it's really made up. It's income coming in for the KI maintenance center.
Right, the income coming in, but if that income didn't come in, what would the alternative be?
Then in effect is that our maintenance fund that we do things with would lose that money. I mean,
Yes.
Correct.
We have a balance in there, but it would
Okay.
just affect the balance of that fund.
Yep.
All right.
Yes, that is
Correct. That's correct.
All right, thank you.
Cheryl, I had it.
Jim, please.
Go ahead.
Sorry. So question on the maintenance fund, you've got $1,926,000 in there as a current balance. I'm assuming that excludes the $62,000 that's owed.
Correct.
And you show $525,000 for lighting and audio. That's planned to be.
Yep.
And do we have other items in the future beyond that 525 that we look to upgrade, maintain, whatever?
Well, we have a very extensive list of things that need to get done. I think Christina would agree with us there. I mean, we even need some expensive things, even like carpeting upgrades, which could be very expensive. We're kind of picking away at the things as we can every year, but there are some improvements we need to make to the KI.
Okay, and that goes to
That would
Alderman
exceed that
Stoyer's
1.9.
question then.
Right. I mean, it's going to way exceed the 1.9. We'll keep coming in, right? I mean, how that 62,000, how will affect that total capital improvements budget is very small, but there's more improvements that need to be made, but.
You have more projects planned than what you have incoming revenue then?
We do over the next 10 years for sure.
Right.
Christine,
Yes.
do you feel the information you'd be giving us in closed session would have an impact on our decision?
Well, it's all about recovery at this point right now. So I could share more documents about how much money we have possibly lost since March, and how much money we've lost into the future. Actually, as from the past. So To date, we should have, as a business here, I'm trying to tread lightly around this topic. So I will tell you that our top line revenues year to date, because that is now a public number, are for the hotel itself is down more than 60% of what we budgeted for this year. So as we move into next year, of course, our budget's not done yet, but it kind of extends into next year as well. So, you know, we're trying our best to keep our doors open and keep the folks that we have here at the hotel, our colleagues, working, keeping them with benefits and keeping them getting a paycheck as much as we possibly can, and just really want to make sure that we put our best foot forward and try to do everything that we can to do that.
Okay, so bottom line, it looks like to me we have three options here. One would be, because we don't have a closed session language in here, we can't go in closed session, so we could delay this until January and relook at it in closed session. Secondly, we could forgive it because of the hardships that they've gone through because of the virus. And thirdly, we could come up with a long-range plan, spreading this out over 2 years, if you wanted to, just adding to their normal monthly fee. Is there any other options that I'm missing? You mean those are the three options? Am I missing anything?
Do you think we should close the floor so that we can talk more amongst ourselves?
Yeah,
Sorry
Okay,
about that.
I'll move to close the floor.
Alderdorf and
I'll
Kathy,
second.
all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're back to regular order of business. Okay, so anyway, play Alderdorf, please.
Okay, so the concern I always have is if we treat one group or individual differently than we've treated other groups or individuals, because and so is there anything about this that makes it different from all the rest that we have said no to? Staff.
Well, it's our building. I mean, the KI Convention Center is owned by the RDA, which is different than, like, you know, for example, when Washington Street Inn came in, you know, asking for the work. That would be the difference on this project. But
And so to allow this, it's like we're actually taking money away from the fund that serves the KI, which we would possibly need in the future, possibly not need for a long time, and we could get money back. So it is different then. Is that what you're saying, Director?
well, I feel like it's different in that we play a part in the ownership of the KI Convention Center. I mean, I don't think, as far as closed session goes, I think Christine could probably give a compelling argument that she's lost revenue due to COVID, much
Right.
like the other businesses that we've worked with,
Right.
trying to keep payroll, you know. So without having to give any numbers, I totally believe her. That's true. I think it's really just the concept of whether or not we want to forgive this, comparatively speaking to other businesses that we've had to deal with. And maybe that's a policy change, or we'd like to start considering that more. That's a possibility as well. You know, we have some revolving loans, for example, that are out there that, you know, maybe if they came forward, that might be an option. But, you know, we changed our programs now to provide grants to businesses with our CARES money. So knowing that that's more helpful. So it's really, it's kind of it's a little more of a policy decision, I think, from the RDA, right?
Just to continue, because I think I still have the floor, I don't think going to closed session will make any difference, because I do think there's, of course, a compelling argument for this business, for many, many, many businesses. So I was just looking at, is this different because we own the building? And because I do not want to start setting any precedents. But I'm also open to, you know, looking at over time possibly making this payment. I'm very open to something like that, to spreading it out for a long time.
And Cheryl, that's something you had talked about as well, coming up with any type of agreement that could really help the situation.
Absolutely.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Kathy, please.
how many agreements do we have out there like this? Because I feel like this is something that could really snowball. And I understand it affected their business and we own it, but I guess I'm looking at it from the policy perspective, like you were saying. Are we making a policy modification due to the potential risk of that? That's, I guess, where I'm going.
You know, I see I have a number of staff on the line. I don't know if anyone has any numbers of how many revolving loans we have out there or.
Or Diane, do you have anything on what the impact of this could be?
No, I don't have any kind of count on that. The one thing I would say different about like the inn that came in, that was a loan we had taken out. We were paying a loan different. Right. So we were paying interest and penalty, interest on that loan. So that would have been a little bit different from the last scenario that came through, where this is not a loan. This is,
like a monthly rent, really.
Mm-hmm.
Gary?
Jim, please.
From my perspective, I guess I'm not willing right now to talk about forgiveness of that $62,000, because if we're going to do that, I think we need to take a step back in a larger perspective on what the implications would be if we would do that.
Mm-hmm.
Secondarily, as Cheryl has mentioned, we've got $1,926,000 in that fund that excludes the $62,000, and we've got $525 already spoken for from that fund, and additional projects that have been on our list that may be impacted if we do decide to forgive the $62,000. That being said, I think it would be reasonable to do some deferral. And I'm not sure, I guess it's more in Cheryl's court in terms of telling us how soon we would need that money for capital projects. But I suspect we don't have, beyond the $525, we don't have any immediate need for the $62,000, but we will have need for that for upcoming projects. So I'd be willing to do a deferral of the payment based upon projection that Cheryl would make for us. I guess I'm not willing to do a forgiveness.
I would tend to agree, but others?
I'm kind of feeling the same thing as Jim.
I agree.
Matt, please.
I as well.
Alder Johnson, please.
Thank you, Gary. I'm listening to the conversation, and I think a lot of it just compartmentally makes a lot of sense. But I think that there's an exception to this, in that, the city, by and large, has very few options in terms of the way that we can step up to help businesses in our community. And I think this is one of those exceptions. And it's an exception because it's a facility that we own and manage. In recognizing the significant contributions and the importance of that facility to our community, to our downtown area, I think it's really paramount that we do everything that we can to continue to ensure their long-term success. And as I look at the numbers on here, I think in the grand scheme of things, we're really talking about, peanuts. The $62,000 compared to the $1.9 million that we have in reserve, we're talking about 0.03%. And so I want us to put that into perspective, because the hotel business, the convention business, they have been absolutely gutted, right? They haven't just been impacted a little, they've been gutted. And I think if there's anything that we can do at the municipal level to step up to help our business community, to ensure that we're protecting jobs, to ensure that we're protecting that future convention business, imperative that we do that. And like I said before, this is one of those rare exceptions that we have, where we have the ability to actually make a decision that can positively influence the outcome in the future of a business that is really important to our downtown and our overall community. I guess I'm more inclined to support this because, again, at the end of the day, we're talking about a very small amount of money compared to what we do have in reserve and what the value of that contract is. So those are my 2 cents for what it's worth.
Matt, I very much appreciate your input.
No, I was more aligning with where Jim was, and I appreciate Alder Johnson's comments, and I hear them and recognize them. And the reason I'm more aligning into, I would like to work out a deferral right now is I'd like to see what's going to happen in the future around stimulus funding and see if there's something that happens around funds flowing to state and local governments. And we were then able to look at a more holistic. And I hear everything that the Hyatt said a decree, but we're clearly not the governor, right? And I think when the governor makes policy decisions like that, then the governor has to consider about what to do about the funding. And that's where I think we now as the city need to think about if there's funding that starts to flow down to state and local governments, and there's something we can do program-wise across the board, and also about our revolving loan fund, folks and others, and try to do something more broadly, I would be open to that. And that's where I would like to defer right now for a substantial period of time, 2 to 4 years, on this, not closing the door to forgiveness, but giving us the opportunity to addressing it more holistically.
Debbie, did I see your hand up earlier?
You did not.
I did not. Sorry about that. Emily?
Chair?
Yeah.
Stephanie just texted me that we have 16 active loans right now worth about 1.4 million. You had asked before how many revolving loans we had out there.
Okay.
16.
All right. Anybody else before I entertain a motion?
Chair?
Yes, Alder Johnson.
Just more of a question in light of Matt's comments, which I think make a lot of sense. Could it perhaps, make sense maybe instead of making the decision today to forgive, could you perhaps stay the request? And what I mean by that is that you don't necessarily make a decision to forgive today. You don't make the requirement for them to pay, and then you allow the opportunity for additional government programs to be introduced. And that way, if a government program from the federal government in particular or state could be leveraged to forgive that amount, great. If not, you put yourself in a position maybe a year from now to make the decision to forgive it.
And what's different than that than the
Right.
Well, a deferral is, it's getting to the same, end result, meaning that you're not making the decision today about whether or not to forgive. I think the use of the word stay is really more or less just saying that you're holding up that. It's really the same thing, I guess.
I guess so too.
I just didn't know if Matt and I were on the same page in terms of what we were thinking about that, but my point is that what I am requesting is that you still keep it on the table to forgive that amount at a later date, that you're not just deferring the payment to a later date.
Okay, I think we had a lot of good discussion. I'm ready for a motion. Matt, Jim, somebody?
I'd like to hear from Matt. I would second Matt's motion if you can make that into a motion.
I'll try. Hey, I would make the motion that we defer the payment here that I think was about $62,000 from Hyatt for a period of 2 to 4 years, keeping open the option that it might move to forgiveness in the future pending other funding sources, primarily from the federal government.
I would second that.
You got it.
Okay, Jim got the second. Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor of the motion, signal by saying aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, Deb. Motion carried. Excellent. Good discussion. Thanks, Christine. Very, very much. Thank you. Number 2, consideration of possible action to deed tax parcels 3-698, 8-156, and 14-87, and provide $15,000 of home funds for each parcel to Greater Green Bay Habitat for Humanity for the construction of trees, single-family homes. That sounds exciting to me.
That is exciting. Will Peters is going to handle this agenda item.
Will.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, Will.
Hello. Yes, this is some exciting news right now. So as part of our In Your Neighborhood program, Habitat for Humanity has requested 3 tax parcels to be deeded to them at no cost, and then an additional $15,000 of home funding for each building, totaling $45,000 of home funds. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen here so you can get an idea of what properties we are discussing. All right.
Oh, great. Great.
Perfect. So first up is 216 North Clay Street. The lot is valued at $11,900, and the house looking to be built will be a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house. Total project costs are approximately $157,000. Next property in question is the 410 15th Avenue. This lot is valued at $14,000. The house is going to be another 4-bedroom, 2-bath, with total project costs approximately $165,000. And then we're looking at, lastly, 1409 Elm Street, another 4-bedroom, 2-bath house, and total approximate $157,000. So in all 3 of these properties will be detached garage, and then Habitat is also using designs that we provided with some modifications. So I just have to really give kudos to the team at Habitat for Humanity. They sat down with myself and our principal planner, David Buck, to review these plans ahead of time. About 2 meetings I think we had. These lots in particular that they're looking to build on are smaller than our average lots. So Habitat definitely had to make some adjustments to their plans to make these projects work on these parcels. And these are also parcels that we've had for a while. And just being primarily for that reason, these are on the smaller end, and more a little bit present some challenges to build on. So all in all, staff is recommending to deed these parcels to Habitat for Humanity, and also provide the $15,000 of HOPE funds for each parcel to the Greater Green Bay Habitat for Humanity for the construction of 3 single-family homes.
Questions for Will? Yes, Alder Sower.
Thank you. Will, for you, I read the agenda, and they're talking about Habitat for Humanity receives funding through donations. It's restore through grants and homeowner mortgage payments. I guess maybe I know the answer to this, but is the city on the docket for any costs here, or is it that $15,000 comes from the care or the home funds?
Yep.
Is the city on the docket for anything else?
No, so these funds are home dollars. These are from HUD for projects that will bring more affordable housing units and homes on the market and available to our residents. So these are not tax levy dollars.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I just wanted to, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Habitat.
Will, how soon do these houses, once they're built, they get on the tax rolls?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
How soon, once these houses are built, do they get on the tax rolls? Immediately, I assume?
As soon as they're sold. When they sell the properties, that's a normal transaction. They sell the properties to the owners. They go back on the tax rolls.
So the bottom line, we're giving up 3 empty lots, and we're going to end up with 3 houses on the tax rolls. But
Yes.
selling a very good deal, and they've been a
Yes.
partner over the years, an excellent partnership.
I have a question. I thought property taxes were deferred a year for new construction. No?
I don't believe
That I
that.
don't know. No.
That is somewhat true. So when we close with the new homeowner, the first tax will be the following year.
But that's for any new construction.
Right.
For any new construction. Yep.
And I'm sorry, that was Michelle Healer with Habitat for Humanity.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve this.
Kathy
I'll
makes a motion.
second.
I mean, I think it's awesome.
Second by Debbie. Motion by Kathy, second by Debbie to approve it as defined in agenda item 2.
Yep.
There are questions or comments? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Thanks, Will.
Thank you.
They've been a great partner, and this house look very, very nice. It's
And
very,
just to mention too, these are designs from our design book as well.
Yeah. Yes, it's very good. Like I said, they've been a tremendous partner. Number 3, consideration of possible action to accept donation of tax parcels 7-46 and 7-47 from GB Real Estate Investments LLC for future development purposes. Cheryl?
That's me. Yep. Will, can you pull that parcel map up just so you can see what we're talking about here? So we received a communication from GB Real Estate Investments LLC. Garrett Vader, I think he's actually here today for questions. He actually got these properties, I believe, as part of another acquisition that he had. And these were part of it. He does not need them or want them. And he's like, hey, you guys want them for free? And I'm like, I think we do. So right now you see a billboard on that site, but I drove past it last night. I believe that billboard's removed off that site now. So it's really 2 parcels here. This is on Eastman and Irwin. It's down by where the old Beach Road Liquor is on Irwin and Green Bay Lighting, across the track.
Okay, yeah.
So kind of to orient you where you are. So great neighborhood. We think it'd be a great property to do some potential multifamily on, because it's large enough to do that. It's got the alley access. So kind of a no-brainer for us. The price is right, and we'd like to accept them as a donation.
Just a curiosity, what's that building on lot 17 and 18? Just curious.
That is some kind of a power station, power plant.
Oh, substation.
Substation. You tell me, Gary.
Yeah,
I think that's a substation.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, Gary, we're expecting you to be able to tell us the amps and voltage now.
You look a little closer. I might have to blow it up. That's all right. Thank you. All right. The price is right. No question about that.
It usually goes the other way around.
Yeah, right.
Right.
You're right. All right.
I just,
Yes,
can I just like to say thank you. Thank you,
Garrett.
Thank you. Super appreciate it. So I move to accept this.
Okay.
Second.
Most Mellerdorf, second by to accept Garrett's donation, if you will. Appreciate your help, Garrett.
Thanks, Garrett.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carried. Again, Garrett, thanks. Pleasure doing business with you. I'm sure we'll see you down the line. Thank you. All right, item number 4. Consideration of possible action on a planning option at 158 North Maple Avenue with neighborhood works to explore potential mixed-use development. And there's some additional action.
Okay. So everybody sit back. I'm going to tell you a story.
All right.
Okay.
How this is going to go. Okay. So this is the property we purchased, 158 North Maple, the monstrosity that we wanted to purchase. We did a complete remodel. We worked with the private developer, Mason Tackmeyer, across the street and did that remodel. Across the street the other way, our ex-fellow co-worker, Ken Ravinsky, was able to build a brand new house. So it's a neighborhood that we certainly want to work in, that we're excited about working in. So we did an RFP for this project, and we didn't really get any takers. We haven't been able to find developers for this property. So on Broadway, NeighborWorks, Will and I got together and met on site about a month ago and said, what can we do with this property, right? So we looked at different options, and Brian Johnson actually had a great idea. Something his board's been working on is, why don't we look at maybe an artist in residence on the upper levels and some type of gallery space on the first floor? And we're like, hey, that sounds great. We knew it's going to be a big ask. We knew that we'd have to do some fundraising and it wouldn't be an easy project, but it would be a great way to activate that corner and put something cool in the neighborhood. So that got placed on the agenda on Thursday. On Friday, I received a planning option from a different developer to do a single-family owner-occupied house, and he actually has someone to purchase the property. He wanted a planning option. He missed the deadline for the RDA meeting, but he wanted a planning option to just make that into a single-family. So I spoke with Brian Johnson, Noel Halverson last night, and as a group talked about this. We know the neighbors, originally the neighbors were really cool with the art place. Now I think the neighbors are like, whoa, wait, if we can get a single family in there, that's better. So in talking with Brian and Noel, we decided that we were going to withdraw this request for the planning option today, right? And then actually the motion would be to receive and place on file, because that doesn't kill it, it just makes it go away. And then what we'll do is we'll bring the planning option forward we got with the single family house at the January meeting. Will also took someone through the property today as well. There may be another option that comes through for single family owner occupied, I'm not sure, but we know for sure we have one solid person who's got the players in place. He just needs to have more time to work on his financing. So what we'd like you to do at this point is to receive this and place it on file and let us bring that single family option back to you in January.
Well,
Good place on
Everything
file.
right, Noel?
Alder Dorf.
I'll second.
Second by Kathy, but okay.
I just had a quick question.
Yeah, please.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to know the size of this building, for a single family home. It's how many square feet is this structure? Just for information purposes.
It's 3 stories, but I think the plan was to actually not utilize that 3rd story. It would just make it 2 stories. It's large. It's probably 3,000 square feet, I would bet.
Yeah.
All right, not that it matters, but I'm just saying, I think that initial plan that Alder Johnson brought forward was intriguing, but like you said, there's some changes. So we'll wait. I guess we'll wait on that.
And our discussion too was that the ideas doesn't have to be specific to that house either. So the concept of having artist in resident in the gallery could happen in other places, right? Maybe it happens here if this future development were to come to fruition. Maybe it happens someplace else. But so that concept's not going away for us to do that somewhere.
That sounds good.
Alder Johnson, you're comfortable with placing on file for now?
Yeah, I think the conversation that we had is providing a month to create an opportunity, I guess, for this planning option to unfold, to really determine if it can be financially feasible for them to convert that to a single family. It's a big structure, and so I think there's a possibility that they may get into it and realize that it's more than what they can financially do, but let's give them a month to determine if that's in fact the case. And then we can still bring this option forward as well. We can put them before you side by side and let you determine, where you'd want to exercise your efforts.
I prefer not to open up the meeting, but Noel, give me a yes or no. Are you okay with this? Okay. That's very good. So we have a motion and a second to place on file. Any questions or comments? If not, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Thanks, Noel. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
All right, let's see, number 5. Consideration, I'm sorry. Consideration of possible action on the review and update of JBS Packland Packing site development agreement. That's the one on University, right?
Yep, that's the one right next to Festival Foods, that development. And what I'd like to do is I would like to go into closed session if we could on this item to discuss.
I'll move to go into closed session, and after I get a second, I'll read the language. Would you like me to read the language?
Alder Dorf, please.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The authority may convene in closed session pursuant to sections 19.85 sub 1G statutes furthering with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. The authority may thereafter reconvene in open session pursuant to section 19.85 sub 2 Wisconsin statutes to report the result or the balance of the agenda.
Very good. Roll call, please.
Okay, 1 second. Get somebody, okay. I should know this by heart. Why am I looking for it? Chair Gary Delvo.
Yes.
Vice Chair Matt Schuler.
Yes.
Alder Dorf.
Yes.
Jim Bloomreich.
Yes.
Debbie Dean.
Yes.
Kathy Hinkvis.
Yes.
And Melanie Parma.
Yes.
Okay.
Melanie.
Chair Gary Delvo.
Yes.
Vice Chair Matt Schuler.
Yes.
Alder Dorf.
Yes.
Jim Bloomreich.
Yes.
Debbie Dean.
Yes.
Kathy Hinkvis.
Yes.
And Melanie Parma.
Yes.
Okay, Stephanie Hummel, do we have anyone in the waiting room?
Just Ken. I'll put him back in.
Let me see. Okay, I think we're okay. Go ahead.
Okay, we're back in open session. I will entertain a motion based on discussion in closed session. Melanie.
I'll make a motion to refer to staff.
All right. I'm just teasing you, Melanie. Thank you.
Second.
Second.
A second, who, before Alder Dorf, there's a second. Alder Dorf, but made the second.
That's fine, yeah.
It went real quick there. Sorry about that. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, sing by saying aye.
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 Good discussion. Excellent. Very well done. All right. We are in informational. Update on the housing study. Cheryl.
We continue to work on the housing study through our recommendations. We've been admittedly a little bit busy this month with a lot of developers and development agreements. But the teams are working on getting the recommendations together. So working on it.
So the bottom line, the next step is going to be specific recommendations based on the study from staff. Is that correct?
Yes, because the recommendations, some of them we're already doing, some of them we don't feel like we should do.
Yeah.
So each one of our teams is assigned to look at the ones that deal with them. For example, there's a number of planning initiatives that the planners are going to need to look at and say, is this something that would be good for Green Bay to do, and how would we do that? So that's what we're looking at.
All right. Please. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Chair. I've been in touch with Cheryl on this as well, and I think myself and Alder Stevens will be working along with the department and other shareholders, if you will, on this housing and housing ordinance and things that we're looking at. So just want to make that point. So we're looking forward to working on that, probably after the holidays specifically.
Yes.
Very good. Thanks for your help.
Thank you.
All the help we can get, right, Cheryl?
Yes. Yes.
Thanks, Mark. All right. Financial report and check register. We've been signing the checks individually, which I kind of like because I look at the detail. I know Matt did it, I think, the month before, whatever. Thank you, Matt. And so I have no questions with any of that. Directors, unless somebody else does, director's report and project update.
Okay. Wanted to let you know that, at our last meeting, we approved a couple of development projects with home dollars. One was the Wise Women Blue Line development on the far west side, working in cooperation with the tribe. They withdrew their request for funding from us on that. They could not work out. I think there were some issues with the tribe and what the tribe would have to concede as part of having this development there. We've also since been notified by our HUD reps that we would not have been able to have provided funding for that project because the tribe is a sovereign nation, I believe. So that gives us a pool of money, though, to do some funding with for future projects that are coming down the line. But that's the update on that one. So we continue to work with Merge on a development agreement. So we're waiting to hear back from their attorneys on that one. I think in January, we're probably going to have a number of requests to change some dates on development agreements, in that we've had some developers that have been delayed due to COVID and some other things. One, Astor on the river. I think we're going to look at that one. The Legacy Hotel has approached us. I think they're going to want to maybe defer for a quarter. They're a hotel, but they're still ready to go forward. And then I think we're just recently talking with TWG from the Fort, which is the apartments. We may need to delay that a couple of months. They've got the elevator shafts in the ground. If you drive down Broadway, then you can see. That's a good sign, the elevator shafts.
Yes.
And then on Monday of next week, we will be interviewing 2 more director candidates. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully well.
In the meantime, you've been doing a dynamite job, Cheryl.
Well, thank you, Gary. You know what? I'll see all these people on this call here. I mean, I got a great group of staff on 6th. Then it's kind of fun because everybody's getting to do things you don't normally have to do, right?
Mhm.
So we're learning new stuff, but we're all spinning plates together.
Very good.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Yes, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? The mayor board, you can ask the mayor. He's tuned in right now, but any questions or comments for the staff?
I'll have one, and certainly if the mayor's here, he can too. Right, there's been quite a bit of talk this fall on the coal piles and so on and forth.
Yeah, where are we?
Movement, and has anything transpired there?
I don't know if the mayor's a word. Yes, he is.
Yep.
Good.
Here. Good meeting all. Thanks so much for all the work. Yeah, there's not a whole lot that I can update everyone on in an open session like this, but I will just say that we're continuing to make progress with the county and all the other players involved, and hoping to update the RDA very shortly.
Interestingly enough, at the Green Bay Retired Men's Club, we had a Zoom meeting as well, and our speaker was Troy Streckenbeck, and I asked him just about the exact same question. And of course, I talked to the mayor a couple of days ago about this as well. I guess one of the things he really emphasized is that the excellent cooperation between the city and the county, and they're in sync and are moving forward well. He also feels very optimistic, but again, that was an open meeting, and so he couldn't get into too much details. But certainly the optimism seems to be there, and are interested. It's a matter of hitting the right tune, if you will. But anyway, like I said, ironically, I just happened to ask that question of Troy today. But it is one last comment. It's very refreshing seeing how well the city and county are working together. I feel really, really good about that. At any rate, any other questions? Now we got the mayor aboard. Anything's wide open, guys. You got all your Christmas shopping done, Mr. Mayor.
Not by a long shot.
Okay. Questions or comments from anybody for staff or the mayor? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion to adjourn, I guess. Next meeting is January 12th.
So moved.
Moved.
Second.
Jim and Melanie, pretty sure.
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.